All right, so today we're diving into a topic I think we can all relate to.
Definitely.
And that's those wonderful and sometimes a little intimidating hotel breakfast
Oh,
buffets.
yeah.
You know that feeling you walk in and you've got like,
Eyes wide?
yeah, your eyes are wide, your plate's ready, you're starving, but there's also that little voice in the back of your head that's like,
Is this stuff safe?
is this actually okay to eat?
Yeah, that little voice is onto something.
Really?
Because buffets, they're great, but they can also be a breeding ground for bacteria if you're not careful.
Now, okay, so then how do we navigate this culinary minefield? I feel like we need some kind of buffet ninja skills.
I like the way you think.
Yeah.
And luckily, we've got some intel
Oh, good.
from this video we found called Top 6 Worst Things You Can Eat at Hotel Buffets.
Okay, perfect. So where do we even begin?
Let's start with danger zone number 1. Seafood left out at room temperature.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. Seafood's so delicate.
Exactly.
Things can go bad really quickly. But what about those shrimp cocktails? Like the ones nestled all nice on a bed of ice?
Not necessarily.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing.
Okay.
Ice melts, and that melt water
Oh, yeah.
can become a breeding ground for bacteria. So you really want to make sure that seafood is nestled in a fresh bed of ice. And if it looks even the slightest bit questionable, just skip it.
Okay, got it. So no questionable seafood. What's next?
Creamy salads,
Oh, no.
like potato salad, coleslaw, anything with mayonnaise or heavy cream.
Ooh, I can practically see the bacteria multiplying in that lukewarm macaroni salad.
Yeah, and there's a reason for that. So bacteria thrives in these moist environments, and those creamy dressings,
Oh, right.
they just provide the perfect breeding ground.
Makes sense.
And then on top of that, they're often handled multiple times during preparation. So that increases the chances of contamination even more.
So what do we look for?
Okay, so look for salads that are displayed on like chilled plates or bowls. That usually means the hotel is taking those extra steps to keep things safe.
Smart. Okay, so we're checking for chilled containers. What else should we be wary of?
Carved meats with dry or discolored edges.
Ah.
I know that glistening roast beef can look tempting,
Oh, it does?
but those dry edges,
Yeah.
they're a sign that it's been sitting out for a while exposed to the air and potentially all sorts of contaminants.
So it's kind of like, don't buy the bruised apple at the top of the pile, but for buffets.
Exactly.
Mhm.
And it's not just about bacteria. Overexposed meat, it also loses moisture and flavor.
Mm.
And you want a juicy, tender slice, not something that tastes like shoe leather.
Okay, no dried out meat. Noted. What about eggs?
This one might be a heartbreaker for some.
Hell yeah.
Those big trays of scrambled eggs.
Really, I always wondered about those.
Yeah.
Are they really as risky as they seem?
It's not just the taste. Although, let's be honest, those powdered eggs
Yeah.
don't exactly scream culinary delight.
Yeah.
The real issue is that they're often made in bulk and then left to sit under those heat lamps,
Right.
creating the ideal environment for bacterial growth. The
Oh.
longer they sit there,
Yeah.
the riskier they become.
Okay, so scrambled eggs are a no-go. What about like a made-to-order omelet station?
Now you're thinking like a true buffet ninja.
All right.
Cook-to-order stations are generally a much safer bet because the food is prepared fresh and hot, minimizing the time it spends in the danger zone.
Perfect. So we're avoiding pre-made eggs, but embracing the omelet bar.
Yes.
What else should we watch out for?
Pre-cut fruit.
Really? Even fruit?
It might look refreshing,
It does?
but think about it. How many hands have touched those melon cubes or pineapple chunks?
Oh, that's a good point.
Yeah, and cut fruit is more susceptible to bacteria, especially if it's been sitting out for a while.
Yeah, so it's better to...
Grab a whole piece of fruit and cut it yourself.
Okay,
Or choose fruits that have a natural protective layer, like bananas or oranges.
got it. Whole fruit or fruit with a peel.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Okay, so we've covered seafood, creamy salads, dried out meat, pre-made eggs, and pre-cut fruit. What's the final item on our buffet blacklist?
This one is tempting but treacherous.
Uh-oh.
Leftover dessert trays.
Oh, yeah, the dessert graveyard?
Yes, you know those trays where the cake is starting to crack and the cookies are looking a little sad.
It's always a bit tragic, I have to admit. I am sometimes tempted, but I always hesitate. Are they really that risky?
Well, desserts are often loaded with sugar,
True.
which attracts bacteria.
Oh,
And then plus they're often left out for the entire duration of the buffet,
oh, yeah.
giving bacteria plenty of time to multiply. And honestly, who wants to eat a stale cookie anyway?
Okay, you've convinced me. We're being strategic with our dessert selections. Aim for the fresh stuff and avoid the sad, crumbly remnants.
Exactly.
This is all great advice. But before we completely scare everyone off buffets, let's talk about what we can safely enjoy.
Okay.
The video we mentioned offers some really helpful tips for navigating these culinary minefields, right?
Absolutely. It's all about choosing wisely and being mindful of food safety. And
Yes.
one of the best tips is to look for high turnover.
High turnover, like how quickly the tables are being cleared.
Not exactly.
Mm.
We're talking about how quickly the food is being replenished.
Oh,
A busy buffet with lots of guests means the food is less likely to sit out for long periods, reducing the risk of bacterial growth.
ah, got it. So
Yeah.
the more popular the station, the safer it probably is.
Exactly.
That makes sense. What other tips can help us stay safe at the buffet?
Choose items from the back of the trays. Food at the front is more likely to have been handled by other guests, increasing the risk of contamination.
Okay, so it really is like that don't buy the bruised apple at the top of the pile rule, but for buffets.
Exactly.
What else?
We've already touched on this, but I can't emphasize enough how important it is to trust your senses. If something smells off, looks discolored, or has an unusual texture,
Yeah.
don't risk it. Your gut feeling is often right, and I mean that both literally and figuratively.
Right. It's like our bodies are sending us signals. Okay, so we're looking for busy stations, grabbing from the back, and trusting our instincts. Any other buffet survival tips?
We've talked about the risks of certain pre-prepared dishes, but remember, many buffets offer cook-to-order options, like omelet bars, pasta stations, or stir-fry counters.
Oh, yeah, I love those.
And you should. They're a fantastic way to enjoy fresh, hot food that's prepared just for you, minimizing any food safety concerns.
Okay, so if we see a chef manning a sizzling grill or tossing pasta, we should head straight there.
Exactly. You get to customize your meal and enjoy the peace of mind that comes with freshly cooked food.
This is all such great advice. So to quickly recap our 6 things to avoid at the hotel buffet we have.
Okay, let's try to make these memorable hits. Imagine the buffet table is a battlefield.
Okay, I'm intrigued. A buffet battlefield.
And to emerge victorious, you need to avoid these 6 culinary landmines. Suspect, seafood creamy concoctions, crusty carvings.
I'm liking this. Keep going.
Questionable quiche pre-touched produce, and the dessert graveyard.
That's brilliant. It's like a culinary cautionary rhyme. Suspect seafood creamy concoctions, crusty carvings. I'm totally going to remember that. And those cook-to-order stations, those are like our safe havens amidst the buffet battlefield, right?
Exactly. Now you're getting it. But remember, knowledge is only powerful when you actually put it into practice.
So you're challenging us to be more mindful buffet diners. I like it. Instead of just loading up our plates with everything in sight, we should actually be strategic about it.
Exactly. Next time you're at a buffet, don't just blindly pile your plate. Take a moment to observe. What are the busiest stations? What dishes look the freshest? What areas are you instinctively avoiding?
You know, you're right. Sometimes I find myself gravitating towards certain areas of the buffet without even realizing it. Maybe it's because those dishes look more appealing, or maybe it's my subconscious telling me they're safer.
That's a great point. Sometimes our instincts are trying to tell us something. Pay attention to those subtle cues. And don't be afraid to ask the staff about how often the food is replenished or if there are any freshly prepared options.
So it's about being an informed and observant buffet diner, not just a passive consumer.
Exactly. It's like turning a passive dining experience into an active one. You're not just a consumer, you're a detective, a food safety advocate, a buffet ninja.
I love it. A buffet ninja on a mission to find delicious and safe food.
And by being mindful and making informed choices, you can not only enjoy a delicious buffet experience, but also minimize your risk of any unpleasant after effects. Let's face it, nobody wants their vacation memories to be overshadowed by a bout of food poisoning.
Okay, folks, you heard it here first. We're all buffet ninjas now armed with knowledge, observation skills, and a healthy dose of caution. But hey, we don't want to scare you off buffets entirely, right? They can be amazing.
Of course not. Buffets can be a fantastic way to explore different cuisines and enjoy a variety of dishes. It's all about finding that balance between indulging and being mindful.
Right. It's like we're not saying you should never touch a shrimp cocktail again or swear off dessert forever. It's just about being aware of the potential risks, making informed choices, and trusting your instincts.
Exactly. And remember, even if you follow all the safety tips, there's always an element of risk when it comes to food. But by being mindful and following these guidelines, you can significantly reduce that risk and enjoy a delicious and worry-free dining experience.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So to recap, when you find yourself facing that incredible spread of buffet delights, remember our 6 culinary landmines: suspect seafood creamy concoctions, crusty carvings, questionable quiche pre-touched produce, and the dessert graveyard.
And don't forget those safe havens, those cook-to-order stations where you can watch your food being prepared fresh and hot.
Armed with this knowledge, you can confidently navigate the buffet battlefield and emerge victorious, both in terms of taste and tummy satisfaction. And hey, we want to hear from you. If you've had any epic buffet wins or hilarious near misses, we'd love to hear about them.
Yeah.
Share your stories in the comments, and let's keep this buffet conversation going.
You know, it's funny. Buffets are kind of like a microcosm of life in a way.
Oh, how so?
Well, they present us with all these choices, all these temptations,
Yeah.
and it's up to us to decide how we're going to navigate them.
That's a really interesting way to look at it. So it's
Yeah.
not just about the food, it's about making smart choices in general.
Exactly. And sometimes it's okay to indulge a little,
Yeah.
as long as we're aware of the potential consequences and we're willing to accept them. Like maybe you decide to try a small spoonful of that creamy potato salad, even though, it might be a bit risky.
Yeah.
Or maybe you go for that second slice of cake, even though, you'll probably regret it later.
I think that's a great point. It's all about finding that balance,
Yeah.
right? Between being cautious and being adventurous, between enjoying ourselves and being mindful of our health.
Exactly. And that balance is different for everyone. What matters is that we're making conscious choices, not just blindly following our impulses.
So the next time you're at a buffet, take a moment to really think about what you're putting on your plate.
Yes.
Consider the risks and rewards, trust your gut, and most importantly, enjoy the experience.
Well said. Bon appetit, everyone.
Happy and healthy eating. If you've had any epic buffet wins or hilarious near misses, we'd love to hear about them. Share your stories in the comments, and let's keep this buffet conversation going.
It's funny because buffets are kind of a microcosm of life in a way.
What do you mean?
Well, they present us with all these choices, all these temptations, and it's up to us to decide how we're going to navigate them.
That's a really interesting way to look at it. So it's not just about food, it's about making smart choices in general.
Exactly. And sometimes it's okay to indulge a little as long as we're aware of the potential consequences and we're willing to accept them.
Right.
Like maybe you decide to try a small spoonful of that creamy potato salad, even though, it might be a bit risky.
Right.
Or maybe you go for that second slice of cake, even though, you'll probably regret it later.
I think that's a great point. It's all about finding that balance, right? Between being cautious and being adventurous, between enjoying ourselves and being mindful of our health.
Exactly.
Hmm.
And that balance is different for everyone. What matters is that we're making conscious choices, not just blindly following our impulses.
So the next time you're at a buffet, take a moment to really think about what you're putting on your plate. Consider the risks and rewards, trust your gut, and most importantly, enjoy the experience.
Well said. Bon appetit, everyone.
Happy and healthy eating. And that's it for today's deep dive into hotel buffet survival. Thanks for listening.